Good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing well, and we'll see how we get on with this medium of doing it. Okay, so basically, in the last few weeks, the lectures we've given have been very, we can say, psychological or very down to earth. In other words, more to do with ourselves on a smaller scale. But we'll take a break from that this week, and we'll look at a much bigger topic. In other words, we'll look at the world around us in relation to ourselves as well. In other words, it'll be a topic that's much more grand, we can say. So, we can begin by just reflecting a bit that we live in a world with many physical laws, or many physical limitations. So you think we find ourselves born here, and there are many things that we can't do. For example, if we try to jump, we'll fall back down to the earth because of the laws of gravity. Or if we try to put our hand through the table, or through a wall, or any object, obviously it's not going to go through because of the laws of matter. If we, let's say, we wanted to just go to town or to a different country, obviously we actually have to walk there step by step. We can't just simply teleport there because these are some of the laws that we live in. This is just simply the way the world works. And there's hundreds of laws like this, which you could study in physics, of course. But what we also need to realize is that there are actually many more laws which are not so well known by physicists. They're not so physical. Some of them, such as we can say karma and dharma, or return and recurrence, the laws of opposites, the law of the pendulum, these are all things that we'll study in this school. But the one we'll look at tonight is, we could say, the most interesting one. And it's called evolution and involution. Another word is the law of impermanence. In other words, the law that says nothing lasts forever. Everything actually has to come to an end. Everything must go down, up, and then it must come back down. So think of it like a circle. Here we have things going up, which is evolution, and then things come back down, which is involution. Evolution basically means growth, improvement, getting better, advancement, progression, becoming more complicated, we can say. Involution then is the opposite, decay. Death, disimprovement, getting worse, basically the exact opposite of what evolution is. So what we need to understand is that this law applies to everything in life. This is the way this world is. In other words, the same way that we can't put our hand through a wall, or that we can't go against gravity, this law actually exists and restricts the way we actually live. So everything rises, and then everything actually falls. Everything gets better, and then it goes worse again. We'll look at a few examples. For example, here we have the physical body. Obviously, when we're born, we start as babies. We're very weak. There's no muscles. We can't even walk. We can't read. We can't write. The body is, at the beginning. It's not even developed. But of course, time passes, and we get stronger. We get weaker. We get bigger. Our muscles start to grow. We get more capable. We can run faster, and so on. We go up the cycle. We get stronger and stronger and stronger. But do we keep on getting stronger forever? No. It comes a definite point, maybe perhaps stage of 25 or just above that, then we start to go older. Then our muscles, again, we start to get smaller. The muscles become weaker. We have less energy. We have less vitality. We need to sleep more, etc. In other words, we start as babies. We get stronger. We develop. We grow. But then we get to a certain point. It doesn't just keep going higher. We then go back down. So you can ask yourself, have you ever come across a human being whose bodies just kept getting stronger? Year after year, they just got stronger and stronger? Certainly not. We all get to a definite age where now we've reached our limit and we have to go back down. So as babies, we rise up, perhaps to the age of 25, then we go back down. Because of these laws of evolution and involution. In other words, we go up, we're evolving, but then we have to come back down. This is the law of involution. It makes things return to the way they are. Another example. Fruit. Here there's an apple. Obviously, when fruit starts, it's small. It's normally green. It's bitter. It's rock hard. But it gets softer. It gets juicier. It gets edible, we can say. Look at this nice circle. And then it gets to a certain point whereby it gets too ripe. It starts to involute. It starts to decay. It starts to turn brown and then black. And then we won't eat it. It'll be the flies or something that actually eats it. In other words, the fruit doesn't just keep getting juicier and juicier and juicier, and it doesn't just stay ripe, the perfect ripeness forever. It gets to a certain point, and then it has to go back down. Even with preservatives or anything, it will eventually go back down. It can't just keep getting better and better. Things, it's the law of impermanence. Things have to end. They can't just keep on developing forever. Here we have the seasons. Again, we can see with spring and summer, obviously things are evolving. It's getting brighter. It's getting hotter. The days are lasting longer. Things are going up. Things are wonderful. But does it stay like that forever? No. We know it gets to a certain point, and then autumn enters in, and then winter too. No season lasts forever. The point is with this law is things go up and they go back down. It gets sunnier and sunnier and sunnier until summer, and then it comes back down with winter. I can remember last summer, I could go for a meal, in town. A very nice day. I'd go for 7 o'clock. I'd come out and still the sun would be there. I could still see the sun setting. And yet, even just a few months ago, I'd go to work at 8, be pitch black. I'd leave at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and again, the sun was gone. I couldn't even see it. In other words, it's the opposite of summer. But does that winter last forever? No. Summer will come again. And will that summer last forever? No. That winter will come again. And again, it goes around in a cycle. This is just the way the world is. Because of the laws of evolution and involution, nothing stays the same. Nothing just keeps getting better and better and better, or colder and colder and colder. It's always going around in a cycle. Again, here we have the day. We wake up, it might be dawn. Obviously, the sun's starting to rise, and as the day goes by, it gets brighter and brighter and brighter and hotter and hotter and hotter until a certain point. Does it keep getting brighter for the whole day? No. It gets to a certain point, and then it starts to get dark again. And it repeats day after day. In other words, we can say here when the sun is rising, it's like a period of evolution. When it's setting, then a period of involution. It'll never last forever. There's always a cycle. Here we have, remember, this for everything. Here we have companies. For example, there was a day or a time when Nokia and BlackBerry were, the thing. In other words, everyone had one of these phones. In the same way now that we have an iPhone, everyone, the large majority, have an iPhone. And you would never think that would never be the case. You'd never think that Apple won't be on top. But this law says that the day will come when Apple too will fall. Or in other words, they'll just become something less than the dominant force in the market. So even though one day Nokia and BlackBerry, everyone had them, you'd never, ever imagine a future where they weren't, the best. Now they're basically non-existent. And so while Apple are up here now, there will become a time, as with all companies, where they will have to go down. In other words, the laws of evolution and involution, they apply to everything, not just nature, but to companies. Look, here's another example, countries. Again, here we have Egypt. There was a time when Egypt was, we could say, the height of civilization. In other words, in terms of science and education, they were the best. But now, you wouldn't really consider them that much of a reputation. In other words, you wouldn't really want to go there at this day and age. They don't have that same reputation as they once had. You could think of the British Empire. There was one time the UK, they had that British Empire. They had the Commonwealth. They pretty much dominated the planet. But now they just have their own country. In other words, there was a time where before they're up here, extreme control. The country was in extreme form of development. But now it heads back down. In other words, it loses its power. The same for the Mayans, the Aztecs, and so on. Which country is here now? It would be the USA. Everyone wants to go there. They have the most money, the most development. They get things first and so on. But the time will come when they will take, it doesn't mean they disappear. It just means they don't have their same dominance as they once did. So those are a few examples. Again, it applies to absolutely everything. If you think of planets, the sun is in a form of evolution, or even the Earth. The moon, however, is in a state of involution. You can think of, even this coronavirus at this moment. It's in a great state of evolution. Why? Because it's growing, it's spreading, it's getting stronger, it's reaching more people. But that won't last forever. The time will come when it pretty much disappears. There's been many plagues over humanity's history, and they've all practically disappeared or gone to a very small scale because of these laws. Nothing actually lasts forever. You can think of TV series or movie cycles or trilogies. They often get worse as they go on. In other words, they start good, they get better and better and better, but a point comes when they start to get worse again. You think of sports. I remember back in the day, Man United won everything. Now, though, not so much. They haven't won, I don't think, anything in quite a while. Athletes, etc., everything is affected by this law. Everything. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing is always at the top. Nothing is always at the top of the cycle here. Everything always has to come back down. This is basically what the laws of evolution and involution mean. I hope it makes sense. But basically, everything goes up and it comes back down again. The same way you throw a ball up, it'll go up, it'll reach a definite point, and it'll come back down. It is the same process for everything. So then, what about the essence? Does this law apply to the essence as well? Yes, it does apply to the essence. And, of course, in this school, what we're most interested in is this essence. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the laws of evolution and involution in relation to the essence. We're going to try to apply it in relation to the journey of the essence. Okay, this is what it looks like. Actually taught in many different times and locations throughout history. So, for example, in Buddhism, I believe they taught it as the Bhava Chakra, or in Tibet, it was taught as the Wheel Samsara. Or if you remember Pythagoras, who was the Greek mathematician that you probably studied in school, he taught it as metempsychosis. Or if you look at Krishna, he taught it as the transmigration of souls. It's all these different places, they teach the exact same teaching because they've investigated for themselves. They have a certain degree of, a lot of consciousness, which allows them to investigate these things, and so then they would teach them. But so we'll try to discuss the same thing here. So we have the circle, and we have 4 kingdoms: mineral, plant, animal, and human. Mineral, or elemental, we can say, plant and vegetable, and then animal and human. As usual, on the right, we have evolution, and on the left, involution. Basically, because each time the kingdom is becoming more complicated. For example, you can compare, a plant compared to a rock. A plant has cells. It has, produces things. It has a response to stimulus and so on. An animal, obviously, is much more complicated than a plant because it can move. It can make, noises. It can do things. And then a human is the most evolved simply because we have if you remember, the intellectual brain. In other words, we have a mind which is capable of thinking, coming up with logic and concepts and so on. And then, of course, involution, we just simply go back down. So how does it work with the essence? If you remember last week, Alison spoke about the innermost being, and that the essence actually comes originally from the innermost being, which is in a different a spiritual world, we can say. Basically, before the essence actually came here, it was very weak. In other words, it's very happy, but it's very small. It doesn't actually know anything. And in order for it to grow further, it has to enter this wheel. And so it's sent down and it enters the very bottom. In other words, the same way a baby starts with the base level body, the essence starts off with a mineral. In other words, it starts off with forms such as precious metals or rocks or the elements, earth, air, fire, water. At this stage, the essence isn't really even called an essence. It's more of an elemental. And for example, if you find it in fire, it's actually called a salamander. I believe air is called a sylph. The water is called a nereid, and and so on. There's many different names for it. But basically, in the same way that as humans, we have our own essence, which animates our body. We're not just a body with that thing that actually animates it. Or in the same way that an animal moves around, it has something animating it. The same way a mineral, any precious metal or rock or element, it also has an essence that actually animates it. Even though we can't see it, as clear as we can in a newborn child, it has an essence. So it'll stay in the mineral kingdom from lifetime to lifetime, or from rock to rock, we can say, or from element to element, bit by bit, until it learns enough, until it's learned all it needs to learn about that mineral kingdom. Then it will enter the plant kingdom or the vegetable kingdom. Here, in the same way that we said the minerals have that essence, or the humans and the animals have an essence, so do the plants have an essence. In other words, now the essence is going to take the shape of plants, trees, vegetables, fruit, oak trees, any kind of thing found in the vegetable kingdom. That's where the essence now learns. It'll stay there from mint family to orange family until it's learned everything it needs to learn. then it enters into the animal kingdom. Again, the exact same process. Now it takes the shapes of animals. So for example, it might be a dog or a cat or a dolphin or a whale or a cow or a goat. It'll take on these different forms until it's learned all it needs to learn about the animal kingdom, until it's ready or more advanced enough to enter into the human kingdom. So the human kingdom is different then, because whereas with these lower kingdoms, it's all a question of a period of time till we learn. With the human kingdom, in other words, when we have a human physical body, that's when the essence has a human physical body, we are given 108 lives. In other words, 108 physical human bodies. Like this. You can see references to this if you look at Buddha's necklace. He has 108 beads on it. Or in Japan, I believe at New Year, they hit the gong or the bell 108 times. Or in Krishna, he would give the symbol that he'd walk around, the holy cow as he calls it, 108 times. In other words, all of these were symbols that we have 108 existences as humans. So we have 108. Very simply, if we were on our, let's say, our 5th life and we die, then we will take a human body again. If we're on our 50th life, again we will die, and we'll take on our 51st one. It will continue like that until we get to the 108th life. In other words, after that point, when we die, we enter back into involution. In other words, we don't just stay as humans forever, and we don't just keep on growing or taking on stronger forms forever again. Just like the way the physical body has to get to a point where it gets older and start to decay, same way the essence, it rises up, it gets to a definite point, and then it has to head back down. In other words, it means it goes back down. It goes back into the animal kingdom, then the plant, and then the mineral. Is this side here, the involution, the same as the evolution? In other words, is it the same pretty much experience for the essence going up and going down? Certainly not. It is very different. In the same way, summer over here is very different to winter. It is the same process here. How so? Because of the actual forms that the essence takes. For example, in the animal kingdom, on the evolutionary side, we could be positive creatures, such as, again, dogs, cats, whales, dolphins, cows, anything that's really happy, anything that is positive, that is, happy to be alive. Over here, then, we have involutionary creatures. We could say, bats or pigs or insects or pretty much anything that just lives in the dark. It lives in filth, and it's not such a pleasant experience. If you lift up a rock and you'll see all these creatures that just, they start to move a lot because they're terrified of the sunlight. In other words, they pretty much just live in darkness. The same with the plant kingdom. Over here we might have positive forms such as oak trees, roses, grass. On this side we might have weeds, thorns, poisonous plants, maybe poisonous mushrooms and so on. Same in the minerals. Here we have, on the evolutionary side, we have the precious metals such as diamonds, gold, silver, bronze, etc. Whereas on the mineral side we might have coal or granite or whatever, maybe steel, or all these things which just don't have the same attractive quality as the precious metals would. So what happens when we finish the end of the cycle? It repeats again. In the same way the cycle or the seasons repeat again, or the day and the night, they repeat again. The same way once the essence reaches the bottom of the cycle, it comes up again. So obviously now we find ourselves in the human kingdom. I'm quite fortunate in that sense. If look, I have a plant beside me now, that would find itself in the plant kingdom. If you have any pets, a dog or a cat or a hamster, who knows what, certainly finds itself in the animal kingdom and so on. In other words, the essence always finds itself in one of these kingdoms. The essence can't always take on a human physical body. In other words, at this moment, we're very fortunate to find ourselves here and to have a human physical body. Our essence has a human physical body, but it won't always be that way. And it's today we do, but it doesn't mean tomorrow. If, for example, we were to pass away and we still have life left, certainly we will continue, but the day will come where the 108th life will be finished, and then we will enter back into these kingdoms. Okay, I've cleared it a bit to make the screen tidier, but essentially, there we have it. So that is the law of evolution and involution applied to the essence. The journey of the essence, we could say. Now, really, if we reflect on it a bit, those laws are actually, they're quite harsh. Even the physical body, we think, it'd be great if we just kept on getting stronger, more, stronger, happier, more intelligent, faster, etc. And it stayed that way. In other words, day after day, that was the way things are. But unfortunately, that's not the way life is. We can see that this law of involution also exists, and that things also have to go back down. Unfortunately, the body doesn't keep developing forever. It gets to a point where it goes back down. The same with the essence. It'd be great if it just kept on developing, until it reaches a point where it just keeps on developing. But unfortunately, that's not the way it is. We get to the point with 108 lives, and then we enter back down. And this will repeat. But is there a way that this law can be broken? In other words, that we can go beyond the laws of evolution, involution, so that we do actually just keep on developing. In other words, the same way the physical body would keep on developing forever, the essence does keep on developing, keeps on taking better forms, keeps on growing and learning. That is possible. There is another force that transcends evolution and involution. Maybe you can guess. Revolution. Revolution is a force which is greater than evolution and involution. In other words, evolution is on the right, involution is on the left. Revolution is above it all. It transcends it. That's why any of these teachings that teach the awakening of the consciousness are also called the revolution of the consciousness. In other words, revolution of the essence against the conditionings of life. In other words, against these forces of evolution and involution that keep the essence going around in circles. In other words, the essence can, if it makes the efforts, make the revolution. In other words, to break itself from these laws so that it's no longer affected by this. How is this possible? Let's see. I'll grab a new page here. Sure, blue will do. We said before we have the essence, 3% free. But we've also said we have the egos, which are 97%. And it's like this, we have an ego here, and the essence is trapped within. We have another ego, and the essence is trapped within. In other words, an aspect of anger, or jealousy, or greed, or laziness, etc. The essence is found within. So since you remember, the essence is immortal. And for that reason, it is above nature. By itself, the essence isn't actually affected by these laws. It's not affected by any of these laws. But because the essence is trapped within the ego, it does become affected by them. In other words, what is it that keeps the essence trapped on this circle by these two laws? It's the very same ego. That's the thing that keeps it trapped to this cycle. A person who's eliminated all of his egos, so that he's 100% essence, is no longer affected by these laws. They have broken evolution and involution, and now they have performed, we can say, the revolution. What does this mean? It means they have total freedom in every sense of the word. Anything that's imaginable for them in terms of how they live is possible. If they wanted, for example, to stay as the same human physical body, they could do so. If they wanted to take a new 109th, 110th, 111th, etc., they could certainly do so. If they wanted to enter the animal or the mineral at any time, they can absolutely do so. Or, if we remember the inmost being up here, they can return there. In the same way that they left, came to learn, they've developed all they need because they've awoken that essence. In other words, they're perfect now. They've got rid of all those egos. Now they can return. If you think of, let me clear this. Think of the word yoga, which we all know. This actually comes from the word huge or yug, which means to reunite. Reunite. Now, if you think of the word religion, this comes from two words. One is re, and one is leger. Re, of course, means to redo, and leger means bound or to join. In other words, to rejoin. And rejoin and reunite are practically the same thing. In other words, yoga and religion, even though for us they mean two completely different things, they are the same thing. And what do they refer to? The reunion or the rejoining of the essence from this kingdom back here. In other words, anytime you hear the word yoga or religion, its original meaning was a reference to this law, for the essence to make the revolution and to go back to here, to the innermost being. Now it's a completely different thing. Now the essence is actually awoken. But so if you ever see those terms, that's what they refer to. So with the revolution, the person has full freedom. They can stay here, they can go back, they can take any form. In other words, they've transcended nature. It's completely different. If you think there's a good story in the Odyssey, if you read that book, where there's Odysseus, which is the hero of the book, and they get to an island. He's the captain, and so they want to know more about this island, and so he sends his men aboard, or on the island, and to investigate, see what it's like, and then to come back with all the information they've learned. And so they go, they follow his order, they go and they investigate the island, but they never come back. They don't return, and so after many days or months even, he has to go on the island and look for them. And when he finds them, what they're doing is they're eating this, it's called a lotus fruit, which erases all their memories. It makes them forget who they are, where they came from, what they're doing, what their purpose is. All they do is just keep eating the fruit all day. Of course, until the day they'll actually die. So he has to snap them out of it and he takes them back. But that story, the person who wrote that, Homer, was awakened. We see someone who's actually performed this revolution, and he uses his stories to teach those things. For example, the essence is sent here to learn. It's supposed to learn and return, but instead, it forgets its purpose. It gets fascinated by life. It abandons itself to life, and so it keeps on eating the lotus fruit, we could say, and it goes around and around until one day, perhaps it might realize, it might remember its purpose, it might understand that it needs to go back. Then it will perform the revolution. Then it will work to separate itself from these laws, to stop eating the lotus fruit, we could say, and then return. So that story is a good example of this law as well. And so how do we begin this revolution? Again, if we remember, learning to live from moment to moment, not being distracted by overcoming, the dreams of the mind. That is the first revolution. The revolution begins by overcoming ourselves. If we can't overcome ourselves, how could we possibly expect to overcome the forces of nature? And of course, it's those very things within ourselves, the egos, that make us trapped by these forces of nature. But the revolution, it always begins with the essence. Making the essence, teaching the essence, ourselves, how to live from moment to moment. In the same way, we had people were saying last week that we listen to the music, but the mind would think about all these different things. We have to learn not to let that happen. And we have to develop the skill to not be carried away with the mind. Or as remember, we did the exercise where we stood up, we threw the balls around the room, and we tried to keep our attention in our feet. But we always kept getting distracted. It's hard to keep our attention there. That is the skill we need to learn. We need to be able to direct our attention where we need it to be. That is the first revolution, the first rebellion of the essence, we can say, against the mind and the egos, is learning to live from moment to moment, in order to direct it where we want it to be. How do we practice that? Again, here's the exercises we give it. We'll speak more about that at the end, but we know learning to just do what we do, not learning to not be distracted by the forces of the mind. That's what we have to learn to do. So that's pretty much the lecture. Again, as we've spoken about in the previous weeks, there's many reasons to awaken the consciousness. After all, the exterior is a reflection of the interior. In other words, it's the way we react. Our total quality of life really depends on the essence as we have more experience with it. But one of the biggest reasons, or even probably the biggest reason to awaken the essence, is for this very reason. To escape these laws. If we don't, it doesn't matter how good things are, how much money or rich, a person is never truly free until we've completed that revolution. It's until the essence has woken up, separated itself from the ego, then it can definitely say it's free. Total freedom, total liberation, or in every sense of the word. But so there are many reasons, we all have our own ones to awaken the consciousness. But this is one of the biggest. To separate ourselves from the wheel, that is one of the biggest. This is one of our objectives. So there we have it. That's essentially evolution and involution applied to the essence. What else we got? Yeah, when we gave this in class, it was a good few questions, about 40, I'd say. But there's some very interesting ones which I'll try to remember. Let's see. One interesting one was, why does the essence come down here in the first place? As I said before the essence actually comes here, it's very small. It's still very weak. In fact, this cycle actually repeats 3,000 times. It doesn't go on forever. Again, nothing lasts forever down here. But this cycle repeats 3,000 times. Once that's finished, then the essence does enter back. here. However, if it never completed the revolution, it's still just very same small. In other words, it's like the difference between a person who's completed the revolution and a person who hasn't is like the difference between an ant and a human being. It's the same way in essence returns after the 3,000 cycles. It's very small. That's the same way it is before it's actually left. So the essence is sent here to learn, to develop, to really find its true potential, to realize itself, as it's called, and then return, because then it will have developed. This is how the essence actually learns. So that's one interesting question. Another one is, why is it so mathematical? Why is there such, precision about this? And again, it's actually normal that the universe or the world is very mathematical. It's a place with perfect order. If you think of our bodies, for example, start there. Is it a mess or is it something complicated? It's definitely very complicated. There's different systems. There's this circulatory, respiratory, the immune system, all these different systems, all these different organs, all these different cells, energy. It all works together. Very well, but it's an extremely complicated thing. It's so complicated that doctors, can barely understand, even 1% of it. So in other words, there is perfect order in the physical body. If we go further, we look at the world around us, we'll see that the world flows with a lot of order. If you think that the sun lifts up rain or water from the sea, it brings it over the over the land, lets it down, feeds all the plants, and the process repeats like that. If that didn't happen, there'd be no plants, and we wouldn't live. We wouldn't be able to grow anything. If you think of the way plants release oxygen, and they take in carbon dioxide. Thankfully, we take in oxygen and we release carbon dioxide. In other words, it works in a perfect flow that we can live. If this didn't happen, obviously we would die. Or if you think, there's the North Pole, the South Pole, there's the magnetic field around them. There's the ozone layer of the planet. In other words, everything functions with a lot of order. The day and the night, the seasons. There's a lot of order to everything. It's not really random. There's a lot of precision there. If we go even further, the planets. The planets, there's an infinite amount of them, and yet they're all designed in such a way that they never clash. The precision there is mathematical. That's why you can even you have astrophysicists who can study the maths of it because it exists. In other words, the world we live in, or the universe, is very mathematical, and so it's not a surprise at all to see that the same way here, things are very mathematical. The universe is a mathematical place, and it's never something vague or random. It has precision to everything. So that's another interesting question. Another interesting one was, is it possible for the essence, a really strong one, to awaken without actually getting the teachings, in other words, without any orientation? And it's actually not possible. It is not possible for the essence to do this by itself. It needs orientation. You think in the same way that maybe we've done the practices now, and we can see that it's obvious we dream. It's obvious that we get taken away by the mind. But most human beings will never see that. They'll never come across the tip that to have a look for it. Then it becomes very obvious. But if you never give the person that tip, even though it's so obvious, we'll never actually see it. And it's for that same reason that it is only possible to achieve the revolution, to awaken the essence in the human kingdom, because the teachings can only be given here because we have that intellectual center. Again, the animal, the plant, the mineral, we have the consciousness there. If you look at a cat or a dog, you can see the essence is there. You can see how alert they are. But because they can't be given the teachings, it means they can't awaken. Even though the essence might be strong, it has to wait till it gets to the human kingdom. Then it can awaken. Again, that's why you see generally the way it works, every 1,000 or 2,000 years, someone who's already completed the revolution. If you remember the fourth stage to consciousness, someone with the fourth state, the objective consciousness, who then teaches these teachings, we can say he's like a messenger, or as they say in religious terms, like a messiah. People like Buddha, Christ, Krishna, the very same Hermes Trismegistus. These were people who had completed the revolution, who'd already awoken the essence, and so then they taught it to others. They teach it publicly on a very large scale. During the times they're not around, because those beings we could say are, they're rare. You can count them on the fingers of, 2 hands. But then it's taught in secret. In other words, you remember there'd be temples or secret caves in Tibet or in India or in Turkey and so on, even in England and everywhere. That's when it's taught in more secret. But if it's never taught, in other words, the essence is left to its own, it will never awaken. It has to have some orientation. Even though we do the work entirely by ourselves, it has to have the orientation. So that was another interesting question. Another one was, if we're on 108th life, then we have to work quickly. And certainly it's the case. If you're on 108th life, you have to awaken the essence quickly. But even if we're on our 50th or 80th, etc., even then, the opportunity has to be taken. Because think, how many people actually get these teachings? Even though it might be there in public, it's very rare, very, very rare. On one hand, to have a human physical body, and on the second hand, to actually get the legitimate teachings to waken up the essence. That is extremely lucky. To have both of those things is to have had much luck indeed, as if to have won the lottery. Which means if you're on your 50th life, and we have the teachings, but we choose not to do anything, don't expect really to find the teachings again. Because it is rare. It is a great fortune to find these teachings. So whatever life the person's in, if they have a human physical body, they have a disposition to work, they have their health, they have the teachings, then the opportunity needs to be taken now. It's like having a lottery ticket that it's not so easy to cash in, but it is a lottery ticket, much more valuable than any you find. And that's why it's a very good question. But it's even true, if we're on 108th life and the person is really working, there is really pushing to awaken their essence, the innermost being, who's the one that wants us to awaken, can grant us 109th life, 109th physical body if we need to, because of the work we're actually doing. Again, if we're not doing very much, then certainly not. But if we are, then there's always exceptions made. Basically in life, there's always a way out. There's always some option that gives us the way out. If the person's on their 108th life and they're really working, then the 109th life can be granted so that they can continue to work. Anything is really possible when it comes to awakening. I think that was pretty much it. Another one that was actually asked is, what about the family? In other words, from lifetime to lifetime, do we actually continue with the same family? And certainly it's true. There is a connection between each family members, a karmic connection it's called, which means from lifetime to lifetime, generally you'll find yourself with the same people, the same essences. In other words, if you have, there's always exceptions. But if you ever come across maybe someone who, for no reason, you have that connection with them, in other words, you're just comfortable with them, then most likely it's because in a past life you knew each other very, very well and you had a connection there. But certainly the general rule from lifetime to lifetime, you'll stick with the same essences. In other words, if you have brothers, sisters, parents, grandparents, etc., most likely it's not the last time you've met or the first time you've met those essences, and it probably won't be the last time either. Those essences, we do stick together in that sense. Another question was, can we know which life we're on, or can we know our past lives? And certainly this is possible once we awaken the consciousness. In other words, to a certain degree, a certain amount of concentration, then we can investigate any of those things for ourselves. Again, like we said before, if remember ourselves better, we do start to remember our dreams more. If we remember ourselves even better, in other words, live from moment to moment better, then we'll start to realise that we're actually dreaming. And then from there, we can move freely. And from that position, we can investigate a lot of things. We can get a lot of information. But until the essence is actually woken up or reach a certain development, it's not possible. The same way you think if you try to, the stars, certainly they exist, but if you try to prove that to a blind person, how would you do it? It's impossible, because they don't have the correct senses, in other words, sense of sight, to actually prove it for themselves. Gravity, for ourselves, we can prove it because we can observe it, because we have eyes. But when it comes to this law, in the same way with observation, it can be proved for itself. Our past lives, our number of lives can all be observed in reality for ourselves. But we need the senses of the essence. It was just the sense of sight, obviously these physical senses of the body, they're not good enough. They won't ever see beyond the mind. But the essence, concentrate a bit, woken up a bit, then it does have the power. So all these things can be investigated only then, when the essence is actually woken up. Then we have the senses with which to see. So like we said before with Pythagoras, he's just a Greek mathematician, and he taught this law because he had an essence. He was another person who completed the revolution, and so he could observe the things for himself. He didn't have to read it or believe it. He could observe for himself because he had the essence. And that's what we strive for here, of course, as well, is to get the essence to the level where we can prove things for ourselves. We don't have to believe or disbelieve this. We just have to understand that in order to prove it, we do have to put to work. Again, what is that work? If I have it here. the very same practices. We'll continue what we've been doing. Really, the lectures we've spoken up to now are all theoretical, information, because that's how we have to start. But it'll come to the point in the future where, pure practice, purely dedicated to learning to focus ourselves, or to learn to live from moment to moment. But to prepare ourselves now is the key. Again, if we have all this information but we don't practice, it's not really that valuable. And people have done that for millennia, and it never gives any fruits. We never escape the law at the end of the day. So continue with our exercises. For example, walk 5 to 10 minutes. Just walk, put our attention on our feet. 5 to 10 minutes, just keep our attention there. In other words, don't allow the mind to carry us away. Try to focus on what we're doing. Music. Again, any music you like, just put on the music. And don't allow the mind to distract us. See, can we teach ourselves, or go for longer periods of time where the mind doesn't carry us away? In order so we can control our attention. The same way we try to keep it on the feet when we pass around the ball, the same we do with the music. And of course, again, then with the daily activities, getting dressed, eating, showering, cooking, making tea. Try to do them and to actually know that you're doing them. In other words, instead of thinking about other things at the same time we're doing them, do only what we are doing. So if we continue with those exercises, unfortunately we can't do the one in class, but if you're interested, we really want to awaken that consciousness, like we said, it's an opportunity to be taken. These are the best places to begin. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. So if you're still here, have a good week and take care. Goodbye.